Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hey, good. I'm only bringing in us for right now. Costa's going to be jumping on here in a minute, so I'm not gonna bring in franchisees.
Adam. I appreciate that. Let's see if I can get a better view here.
Hey guys.
Hey, Michael. Hey,
good
Terry.
afternoon.
Welcome, my man.
Thank you.
It's
Great
official.
to be on board.
It's really good to have you. How
We'll
was
see
your
how I do on the first day.
Brandon's just waiting to get Costa on the hook here, and then he'll start letting franchisees in. How many people you got waiting on the line here, Brandon?
15.
When you guys generally, before the last one we did, and I don't think everyone joined the last one either, how many franchisees you usually get on these things? Does everyone usually typically join, or just operating franchisees? Or
No, it's usually a lot. I'm expecting to have probably 20, 25.
good? Okay.
So I've got Michael, Aaron, Terry, David, me. I have mine set up out there for the franchisees that are here for the training.
Oh, okay, cool. Who's there for training?
Nathan Nestor, Brandon Grell, and Bob Stadel.
Nice. And how they doing? All good?
Good. Yeah.
Good. Nathan is I know Bob is Lancaster. Where's Nathan?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
And Brandon's Vegas?
Vegas.
All right, guys, Costa's in. Let's rock and roll.
Yep. All right. Anything that we want to go over prior, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. Costa's going to lead as I talked to him earlier, and we'll interject. And then when we introduce
Brandon,
Terry here, he'll
real
jump
quick,
in. Well.
check your DM real quick. I have to say hi to Nathan. I can't just see him and not say something. Does he go by Nate or Nathan? And who's with him?
I always use Nathan.
Okay.
And then I got some here. I'll put it in there.
Who's with him?
I'm guessing it's his manager.
Okay. All right. I'm just gonna go say hi to him real quick.
What time did training start this morning?
10.
I want to say something before we start the town hall. I didn't want you to think I was going. All right, you can start letting people in, Brandon.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Morning, everybody. We're just gonna probably do the first 2 minutes, just getting people in, and we'll kick things off. Make sure everyone has a chance to get in. I'm gonna message Slack just to make sure everyone knows.
Progress.
Got a nice full house of people.
They're all waiting to hear what we have to say to them. How many more are we waiting for, Brandon?
The total invitee list is something like 150 plus, so
Just give everybody
not
another
gonna-
minute.
yeah, as long as we got a good chunk of everyone, we'll obviously record it like we normally do and make sure that everyone has access to it, even if they couldn't attend today. This is a side note to everyone who's waiting for us to start. We have 3 franchisees here for training this week that are participating in the town hall, literally in the HQ. We got it up on the big screen TV for them. So that's training week's always an exciting week. All right, Brandon, I'd say probably we'll do another 60 seconds and then we'll go ahead and kick things off and start going through this. We want to start having these town halls on a more regular basis now that we've kind of built up the infrastructure of the system and kind of matured a little bit as an organization. And we want to keep everyone up to date on all the things that are happening in the background and all the ways that we're trying to make things better for those who are opening and operating, those who are trying to get open, and those who are in the process of opening, and those who are onboarding. So these will probably become a more regular staple. This one is obviously a little bit more exciting than probably the normal town hall because we have a lot of great things that have happened recently that are going to help out everybody in the system. So we've got a jam-packed agenda of things to talk about today. If anyone has any questions, feel free to go through them in the chat. And what I'll do is at the very end, we'll do a Q&A and we'll just start with questions. If it's something that's fleeting and I can answer in the moment, I'll be more than happy to answer it, but we'll probably do a Q&A at the end. We'll knock out any written questions and then we'll also go through actual Q&A as well. So Brandon, does it say how many? We got 37 participants right now of the, let's see how many were confirmed yeses. Okay, we had a good chunk of maybes.
Costa, we got a lot to cover. Let's get started.
Okay.
Those that join a little late can always check the recording or reach out separately, but let's get going.
All right. So we're going to start off with our technology updates that we've made for the system. We've got a couple of major ones. We're going to start off with talking about our point of sale system. So this is a direct impact to the franchisees that are open and operating at the moment. We have 2 separate things that are going on simultaneously. We have been selected as partners to Square to participate in their franchise suite program. This is really exciting because what this does is it allows our franchisees to have their own item libraries and basically a closed system that gives them the ability to control their items, control their pricing, and not have to run that through us in order to make sure that it doesn't impact anyone else's. This was probably the #1 pain point that I heard from some of our open and operating in stores. The franchise suite is $40 a month per location. We are actually going to cover that cost because we knew that this was an incredibly important part of the store's pain points. And so we will be just paying that fee on behalf of the franchisees so that you can participate in this new franchise suite program. Our we have a dedicated rep at Square. For those of you who didn't actually know that, his name's David Quill. He will be onboarding the franchisees to join the franchise suite program, and that should be happening in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We got the official one accepted as a partner in the franchise. Brandon, did you mean to mute me?
Nope.
Okay. So second thing on the list is on the same vein as Square. We have in the background been working with a software team to create that proprietary software built on top of Square to eliminate the need for multiple websites to get the information that we need to accurately perform oil changes. In the past, we've been using a combination of 2 or 3 different websites, and we got direct feedback from the opening operating stores that it would be nice to have a system that has that all on one page. We have been testing this program. It's ready to go live. It's very close to being launchable, and we're in the very, very final stages of that. The team that built it did such a great job. We utilized the licensing database from mortar.com, which is the same database that all major quick lube point of sale companies use, including PM Attendant pulls their data from mortar.com. So we purchased the license to use their system to streamline this. The system is built on top of Square, so we won't have to do anything different with our point of sale system in order for this to be tied together. It offers a suite of new services, including customer information retention and vehicle information retention, the ability to pull information via the VIN, and also by year, make, and model, which is what most people are used to. This software is going to be a monthly subscription. This is going to be $129 a month. This is less than PM Attendant, which is the least expensive option. PM Attendant, I believe, has upped their pricing to $199 a month. So we are actually, although this is a new expense to some, it will be less than what the expense would have been had we mandated the use of PM Attendant as a point of sale system. For those of you who have shopped some of the other quick lube point of sale systems, you know that this software can be upwards of $500 a month per location. So this is actually a cost savings measure, and it is what I think is a more robust system than some of these operating systems as well, especially since it's built right upon Square. Anyone that wants to take a view of it, I'm going to post the link for the demo in the chat. So anyone that wants to take a look at this point of sale software, this is a link to the demo version of it. The actually live version is much more sophisticated and in depth, but this is what we've been given from the software folks to show you guys. Now, in the same vein as the technology update is obviously we launched a new website. We launched a new corporate website that the franchisees will have the opportunity to have, again, more control over their own personal information, their own business information, rather. This website allows the ability for franchisees to edit their own information directly on their website. Each individual franchisee, each store will have their own website that is a subdomain within the website. You'll be getting a phone call or an email from Ryan Lamoth at Hawkeye, who is the developer who built this website, and he will be talking about the functionality of the website, the advantages of it, and how it benefits the franchisees as a whole to participate in this. Once everyone is onboarded, the franchisees that are open will be paying $99 a month to maintain this website. This is, again, built into that technology fee. This website will give better SEO. It'll give better CRM abilities, and on an optional basis, Ryan will also be talking to you guys about his ability to, from end to end, perform a suite of marketing services, such as managing your digital footprint from Facebook, Instagram, to Google My Business, to Google Maps, etc. And so that will be part of the conversation when Ryan goes to onboard everybody.
Everyone's favorite part of the job, right, Costa? Dealing with the reviews.
Yeah, and dealing with the reviews and customer retention management. So that is an exciting new part of the website. One of the things that's always been important to us is making you guys feel as though you are business owners, that you have control over a lot of the things that you should have control over. We don't want to be, we're not a Dunkin' Donuts. We're not going to be auditing you based on if your window placard is, in the wrong place. We want you to feel as though you have a place in the business, and that your voice is heard, and that you have control over some of these things. And so the website is an important part of that process as well.
Okay. Hey, I just put in the chat, for some reason, that demo link that you.
I just got a message that the demo link's not working.
Yeah.
So we'll reach out to the Carbon Tech folks to make sure that they gave us the right link, and we'll send out an email with the correct link to make sure that everyone has a chance to view the demo.
Yeah, it doesn't load for me either.
That's all right. We will get a hold of the Carbon Tech folks and get the correct demo link, guys, and we'll make sure that gets out to everybody. So I'm going to hand things off to Brandon to talk about grand opening announcements. He's been traveling the country.
Costa, just real quick. Why don't you open the demo link and the Square sandbox in the same browser so you can show everybody the application. The demo link and the Square sandbox has to be opened on the same browser in order to show it.
Brandon, are you able to do that as the host and do a share screen? You're on mute, bud.
Yeah, I need to pull up the sandbox demo link.
Costa, while he does that, I just want to make the announcement for everyone to engage on getting their emails set up and reset up if they needed to. Maybe you can touch on that a little bit more detail, Costa, as I know a lot of people are either unaware or need to do something still to get their emails on a better server here.
Yeah, so as everyone should know at this point, we did move servers once again. Obviously, we had the original GoDaddy account where we had someone accidentally click on a phishing email. We moved to Hostinger, which was the Titan Mail. And now with the new website, it was recommended by Ryan to move to SiteGrounds. And now our email system is hosted at SiteGrounds. The email, I did make a video for one of our franchisees on how to set it up on Apple Mail. And it's essentially the same process for any type of Outlook, or, obviously I've promoted Thundermail as a third-party mail resource, and I think that it's what everyone should use. But in any case, Aaron is trying to reach out to everyone, make sure that everyone's emails work. Anyone who had a .co had a .co email address will be changed over to the .com. CostaOils.com, and that has already taken place. The old emails are housed under our Hostinger hosting, so we do have access to that database for an extended period of time if anyone needs to try to reach their old email. We'll get that taken care of. Just reach out to Aaron in Slack if you have any questions, and I'll get that video uploaded on how to do Apple Mail.
Costa, there's a couple questions on the website in the chat here. So
I think we're going to go over those at the end.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yep. All right,
well, I can actually address some of these questions. So like I said earlier, if it is a fleeting question, I can just answer it real quick. So Mitch, you're gonna want to give suggestions to Ryan at Hawkeye. He is the one that manages the website. He is the one that handles I don't want to call him our IT guy, but now essentially we've taken all of the marketing side of things over to Ryan at Hawkeye. He built the website. So any questions would want to go to him. Kathy, the previous emails for those that are on Hostinger, you're going to have to go to Hostinger. I'm looking into it right now. We're looking into a way to migrate it over. But because they are two different hosting systems, there may not be a solution to be able to automatically migrate things over from the previous email system. You might just have to log into Titan Mail to access old emails and then manually move them over to the new system. And Tamlin, the question about the website, yes, the $99 is mandatory going forward. This was always part of the item 7. It just wasn't enforced in the beginning. And so with the expense of this website, we are implementing that $99 fee to cover the cost of this new, much more robust website. All right, so we're all up to date on questions. Brandon's gonna try to do a share screen with the sandbox for the demo, and then we'll get into grand opening announcements.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the template that we are going to be working off of, building out this process. One of the biggest features that it has is you can search by VIN. So you only need the first 10 numbers of the VIN, and it will be able to pull the information. Everybody is very used to using year, make, and model, so we're going to have that available as well. We talked about this on ops calls throughout the past month or so. So this is a sandbox version. We don't have access in this version for every vehicle out there right now. However, we do have a couple of vehicles that we were able to test it on. So a 2010 Honda Civic comes into the shop. We pull it up, and then we can use 1.8 liter. And this is what it's going to be displaying on your iPad itself. This is linked to Square. The original version of this did not have the ability to do multiple tabs. That was something that I asked to add. So if you have a car in bay 1 and you have a car in bay 2, your tech will be able to switch between multiple bays and do multiple vehicles at one time. So I just wanted to point that out as well. And you can do as many as you need. And this also helps with getting quotes. If somebody calls in and says, hey, how much does this cost? You're able to pull it up really quickly and not mess up anything that you're doing in the meantime. So as you can see, 2010 Honda Civic with the 1.3, it pulls up all of the cabin air filters, the regular air filters. It has the 020 because this vehicle takes an 020 full synthetic oil. And it has the 020 full synthetic oils, and it also has the extra quart and the extra half quart. And then it also, as a default, will always have bring your own oil. So you can click on that, and you can add this. We can add a full synthetic oil change. We can add the air filter in the cabin. And then when you come over here, you can put in the name, the VIN, phone number, and email of the customer if you'd like. You can click generate, and then that generate button is going to send this to Square, where you can then open up the Square. It's automatically going to be there, and you can check them out, add any discounts you want to, so on and so forth. Again, we want to make this as user-friendly as possible. So if you make a mistake, you can just click off of it like that, and you can change all of the items for that vehicle. You're going to be able to search on the left-hand side over here, what are you actually looking for, so it doesn't display all the options. So if I'm looking for just an air filter, it'll show me just an air filter. If I'm looking just for cabins, it'll show me cabins. Engine oil filter, which this one doesn't have it populated on here, but the actual process, the live version will. And then engine oils as well, you can change that. So this is very base form. We're going to be product testing this here this week. And then the way that this is going to work, and this is going to work in tandem with Square, is that once you have your own Square account, you will log into your car wrench build using those logins, so it connects to your Square account. So it's going to be very easy, very smooth transition. And then again, like I said, you can have multiple screens open at the same time. So hope everybody had if you have any questions, let us know about this. As we product test it and as we go live with it, we'll be giving out more information in the future about it, but definitely wanted to show you a demo.
Can you or Costa just touch on it for franchisees who have not opened yet, the number of systems and websites that this is going to streamline?
Yeah. Brandon, good job going over the new software. Appreciate it. So, as I had alluded to earlier, getting the two separate pieces of information had always come from two different websites. And, as some of our franchisees can attest to, if these are websites that are typically out of our control. And so if one went down, then you would have to find other means for getting that information, whether it was the Show Me the Parts build or the AMSOIL build. And so what this does, it allows us to have more control over this process by having our own system that combines these websites into one so that it's all on one place. Mitch, great question in the chat about, are we going to be able to use the wireless scanner? The software developers have assured us that any hardware that is compatible with Square will work with this program. We are going to be testing this live at the Hanover store so that my store will have all the kinks worked out. As you guys may or may not know, there's only one wireless barcode scanner that's compatible with Square, and it's the Socket Mobile wireless scanner. And so we've typically used, I believe, the Motorola LS8000 barcode scanner, and it's hardwired in, and you can't get to the VIN because it's hardwired into the Square. Mitch, we're going to be testing every single piece of hardware we can to see what works and what doesn't. So to answer your question, we're not going to know until we test it, but I do have, I do have a couple of these Bluetooth scanners, so we will be able to let you know very quickly whether or not it's compatible with the new system.
Awesome. So grand opening announcements, going on to the next topic here. We've done really, really well in 2023. We've solved for a lot of things that the previous year in 2022 we were still dealing with, and I think next year is obviously going to be even better, and so on and so forth. We were able to open multiple stores this year. Super proud of Jonathan Wilcox, Brian Collister, Brant Ditchin, Brandon Camerzell, and Willem and Tamlin Brits, getting them open this year. We do have more on that are slated to open by the end of Q3, the beginning of Q4. So we have Keith Clonch in Toledo. We have Brandon Grell in Vegas. We have Andy Sullivan in Newton, Iowa. We have Nathan Nestor in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Maim in Lutz, Florida, and Bob Stadel in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They are actually, some of them are here with us today for training. So it's super exciting to get to meet with them and get them through training and get them to their openings. So hopefully with the new processes that we have coming up soon, that we're going to be able to get a lot more kiosks open, more conversions, and make this a much more streamlined, easier process for all the franchisees. So super excited about that. Costa, do you want to do real estate?
What I want to do first for real estate is introduce someone we're really excited about to join the team, and that is Terry Owens. And so we'll go into our real estate section of this process, but first I want to hand things off to Terry, who we brought on. David, do you want to give a brief?
Sure. Yeah, so I've gotten to meet and talk with a lot of those that have joined the call today. If I haven't, please don't hesitate to continue to include me and now Terry in your projects going forward. And so ultimately, I'm really excited to get to introduce Terry onto the team as our Vice President of Construction. Terry worked with myself in my past life for several years, starting in 2018. And then ultimately left us to go back into the franchising world with another system. He'll give you his do's and don'ts of the franchising world, but ultimately had an opportunity to bring him back on my team here, and knowing his experience and the relationship I had with him for many years growing a franchise system in my previous world, I really thought it was a great opportunity to bring him on and help all of you evaluate real estate, as well as help you understand what things will actually cost in the timely manner in which you can then make decisions before you're holding some of it. So obviously there's some process that he's going to continue to help me work through and work on as we continue to evolve here and grow. And so with that, Terry, why don't you give your quick background, you know, who you are, your family, all that good stuff, so everyone gets to know who you are as you're about to start to become very important to all of them.
You got it. Thank you, David. Appreciate the introduction. Terry Owens, I'm Vice President of Construction. Today is my first day, so I'm learning a lot about the systems, who people are. I don't even know who half the staff are in our home offices yet, but I'll get to know them very quickly.
Unfortunately, you've met them all already. You didn't realize that was all of us.
Gotcha. So there's 4 in the office then that I've met. So,
Yep.
folks, I have a wife of 47 years, 3 children, 4 grandchildren. I live in north of Durham, North Carolina. Have been down here in the Carolinas since '83. Before that, I was in upstate Western New York person that was born and raised up near Rochester, New York. My experiences in construction and development is very vast, from all the way to, you know, looking at a test fit on a piece of property, working with the real estate departments to do code research, site investigation reports. I have done all of that pre-development due diligence phase processes in my career, and followed that up through design, permitting, and full construction until you get a CO and turn it over to either a franchisee or a corporate store. I have 10 plus years of direct franchisee relationship building and working with franchisees. That started in my career with McDonald's back in the early 2000s. And after that, I've been with several different companies that have large franchisees, such as Arby's, even with David at Lightbridge Academy. The most recent job that I had did not have any franchisees, and that was with Dutch Brothers Coffee out of Oregon. I was with them for the last 9 months until David gave me a call, and I couldn't turn down the offer. I am here to help anyone on this call through any part of the process whatsoever. I know it from the beginning all the way to the end. If there's anything I don't know, we've got a good team of people on board that already do know. And then David and I are building a team of people with architects, civil engineers that will help the process. So that's it in a nutshell for Terry. I'm more than happy to take any phone calls at any time, 7 days a week. I know that everybody has busy schedules in their lives. So if you have a thought, you need to call me, pick up the phone, and I'll be there for you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that, Terry. Terry, I know everything you just said to be genuinely true, and how awesome my experience was with you for several years, helping my franchisees in my old world. And I look forward to all the things you're going to be able to do here for this system. I've asked Aaron as our coordinator to help coordinate all of you individually, starting with those that are under construction. Obviously, Brandon's got a great handle on a lot of these projects. And so as much as Brandon and Aaron picked up with Terry and get him linked up to all the people and all the process that he puts in place here, that would be great. And then obviously, as people are evaluating LOIs and leases, we should be including Terry in those discussions to help us answer questions on engineers. He's worked a lot with Colliers, as have I. And so a lot of people have started using Colliers all around the country. And so Terry's got a great relationship with them, as well as everyone he's ever done business with in my experience. But What's up, Michael?
It's real quick. This is Michael here. Jonathan Wilcox has a question in the chat, and I have a question as well after you respond to this one that I think several franchisees are probably.
Yes, absolutely, Jonathan. Yeah, I see the question is for everyone that can't see it, he's asking if Terry's going to be available for builds that are in process. Absolutely. So ultimately, and I don't want to speak for you, Terry, but I wrote the job description, so I can tell you all.
Yep.
Terry's going to be involved from every aspect of construction from the time you guys start looking at an LOI and asking, are we sure this one works? And how do we know? And getting answers from engineers and putting on test fits. Terry's going to get involved in that understanding of a project all the way through, like he said, getting approvals, helping developer and or yourselves get approvals, get things figured out to get to that point, as well as hold hands with GCs and or developers to get you through, CO. And so, yes, it's a full on support process that Terry will play here in construction.
And I can help you with, obviously with construction costs, timing. I can help you review bids that you receive from contractors or subcontractors. I can do all the above, by all means.
Awesome. And then David,
Thank
one
you,
more
Cameron.
question to address here. I don't see any franchisees asked it, but I'm sure several are wondering if somebody's engaged with Peter Colvin today in process or thinking about engaging with Peter, would Terry still be useful in that process? I'm sure.
Absolutely. Terry and Peter have already spoken. There's a lot of coordination that goes on with Peter's projects. And so Peter is very excited to have a professional like Terry coming in to bring some enhancements to our process and some of the procedures. And I think a lot of that will then get turned back around on Peter to be able to answer some of those questions for us and for franchisees earlier in the process. So we'll see how much he's smiling about, the added gunpowder we're going to bring to the team here. But really, yes, he's all projects, all construction related discussions needs a solution here. And so we won't limit him. If it's construction in this company, Terry should be asked as the professional expert, and getting his advice would be where I would start. So every one of you have access to myself and Terry as often as you need us. And absolutely, Jonathan, if you're in process, get with Aaron, to get with Terry and or Brandon, and make sure that he gets to know, all the contacts, and he's going to create or continue to edit the report we've created already in terms of our tracker report for the system, so that he can know who your contractor is, who your developer is, who all the players are in a project. So when you have a question as to, hey, it's Tuesday and it's beautiful out, why is no one on site doing any work? He'll be able to tell you, oh, that's because they're waiting a day for an inspection. Oh, okay, great. I shouldn't freak out, right? And that's the kind of engagement you should all have at some level, hopefully soon.
And just one more point to that, in a prior communication, after we invested in the business, we were considering a company called Siteology, and that was communicated to everybody. And we decided to hire Terry and bear the salary ourselves as the franchisor, as opposed to hiring an external firm like Siteology to do the coordination. So Terry's salary is paid by us. Terry's not getting paid by franchisees. And again, this is a six-figure investment that we made to benefit the construction and real estate process. So I just wanted to double click on that. We're not moving forward with Siteology. We decided to move forward with Terry Owens instead. Second point, Brandon K just asked a question in the chat about alternative investors and leaseback companies. We are going to LOI. It's a little premature, so we didn't announce it. But we are going to LOI this week with a large family office out of Scottsdale, Arizona, that will be committing to invest capital into sites that franchise locations sit on. So more details to come on that. We've had probably 5 or 10 meetings with this firm already. It's a contact of mine. They've done the same thing in the past for Jiffy Lube, 10 or 15 years ago. And they're excited on a go-forward basis, and they'll also kind of work with Terry. Peter's on board. He knows of this additional capital partner. So Brandon, that's the response to your question. Details will, again, be conveyed to everybody as they come in over the next couple of weeks. But we're memorializing with Justin Arnold leading the charge on that, what our relationship and what the economics will look like. And it won't be a far departure from the current relationship or economics with Peter. But again, double clicking on it, Terry will be our new director of real estate and construction. So regardless of who the investor is, whether you're doing a conversion, whether you're using Peter, whether you're using this new family office, everything's going to start running through Terry. LOIs are not going to be signed and approved if the economics don't work. LOIs are not going to be signed and approved if site costs are going to be more than what we think. And again, our response to tightening up this process, first and foremost was bringing in Terry. We have secured a relationship with this family office. It will be contractual in the coming weeks, and we'll continue to bring on more relationships like this family office. For anybody who doesn't know, family office is just a fancy word of saying a independently wealthy group of individuals who manage their capital professionally and usually have a massive net worth. And they will be interested in buying properties that we can build kiosks on that you all lease back from them. Back to you, Brendan.
Thank you, Michael. That was great. I just want to add there the last piece that I have to share on the real estate update. The solution ultimately is to keep as many projects moving in a positive progression, and Terry's insights as quickly as he can get involved in every one of these projects will definitely do that. Our goal isn't to necessarily knock Peter or any solution we currently have out of the box. It's to ultimately come up with alternatives and or enhancements to those existing processes and things that allow us to get all of you guys into business as quickly as we can. And that's, obviously the objective of the franchisor as always. So really, Terry, maybe you have some additional background that you can share on your experience with the modular and the prefab solution, but ultimately everyone that knows Peter knows that he's got a solution to what we've built, and we ultimately have to either work with that and or improve upon it. And so I think Terry's going to be instrumental in putting the screws to it and figuring it all out for the group of people that are going to still be working through that kiosk creation.
Yeah, and David and Terry, just one thing to add, and then we can move on from real estate here. One of the key things that we asked Terry during the interview process was really focused on scale. And in the prior franchisors that he's been at, he was able to lead and manage and organize the process of opening up several locations, per quarter. So that was a big kind of litmus test for us from an employee perspective. And we feel really good that Terry is going to be able to kind of touch several folks at once and have 20 plus slated openings without bogging down the system.
That entire process can be streamlined once I get my feet wet with the programs and websites that we have on board. We also have a tracker report that I was given this morning to review projects. And so far, I'm involved in 3 of them right off the bat that I will contact franchisees today to talk about. And from there, moving forward, working with each one of the franchisees to reach their goals, we will find very early on in the process how long this process will take. We will discover what it takes to do design on the property. We will discover what it takes to do any zoning, any type of city or county officials that we have to go through on the design, permitting phase, and the whole bit. In my recent capacity at Dutch Bros, I was managing 63 projects. Basically all at once. I was in charge of construction for the entire East Coast of the company. So it's a very detailed process that I keep track of on a daily basis on any given project. So I have the ability to handle many projects at any given time, and that have been very successful in the turnaround times, meeting goals for quarters, meeting goals for yearly developments. All of that has been on my resume for the past 15 years.
Guys, just to put a bow tie on this part of the town hall, basically, this move allows us to take a lot of things off of your plate and lets us have a lot more control internally from the day that you're onboarded and have your welcome call. You're no longer being shuffled into a program that may not be the best situation. We're going to constantly try to find new vendors. We're going to constantly try to find new partners. And what Terry gives us is his professional experience to say, for this specific franchisee in XYZ address, we should funnel them towards this partner instead of this one. And that's going to help streamline this process. So we know real estate is a super important part, so we want to give a lot of effort to this part of the call. But we're going to move on to our marketing update. We're going to let David talk a little bit about some of the changes we've done there. And then we have some exciting vendor updates as well. And we're going to get everybody on with the rest of their day.
So obviously we've been rolling out, if you haven't seen on either LinkedIn or anywhere out there, especially Forbes, we've been rolling out a multi-pronged marketing approach. Starting August 1st, franchisees will start to see a new fee that's going to come out of your royalties. This is called the brand fund fee. So the brand fund has always been in our FDD. It's a national strategy solution where we're going to drive awareness in publications like Forbes. And so hopefully you've seen that. You might not have. We'll make sure it gets put out there again. I know we put it out there on LinkedIn and on Slack. The fee that you're going to ultimately see here is going to be a big part of the social media brand SEO and the digital assets here of design. So for distribution for all of our franchisees system-wide, and those franchisees will only start contributing 1% of your gross sales to the brand fund at that point in which you're operating. So this initiative obviously is going to help build the overall viewability and strategy of the entire system here. And we want you to continue to do all the other things that you do locally. And so in order to help you get to that total percentage of gross sales on your marketing dollars spent, the brand fund will ultimately allow those dollars to be spent from your website, a package that we just mentioned earlier from Hawkeye Digital, that'll be included, as well as Facebook ads, direct mailers, all the things that we've always done can be contributed towards that marketing expense. And so please continue to work with Brandon and team here to make sure that all the things you're doing in marketing are actually having an effect in your local needs to drive more customers. So that's the marketing update. Obviously, a lot more to come as to where some of that targeted strategy will push out some national media. So if you haven't seen the Forbes, maybe we can get that link sent out here in the chat as well.
And again, just to double click on this, this is more air cover. This is not performance marketing to drive, traffic to your individual locations. That budget and those dollars and that strategy will be borne by you guys, using Hawkeye if you'd like, in terms of their services. You're not required to use them. We recommend using them, but the brand fund is designed to give kind of national air cover. The Forbes article brought investor interest to the leaseback program. We've got an article coming out in Franchise Journal in August that will bring more credibility. Vendors like to see these articles. So our national and brand kind of ad fund, if you will, is meant to, drive thought leadership in the space, make it known on a national stage that Costa is a player, gives us credibility with Relodyne and Napa Auto Parts, with additional leaseback investors and things like that. Every franchise system has a marketing royalty. We have the ability to charge 2% to franchisees and be sensitive to the fact that many folks have just opened. We're only charging 1%. So just wanted to kind of touch on that as well.
Brandon, Costa, anything to add to that?
No, this is all part of a greater campaign to glow up the brand, grow up the brand, and become a more sophisticated player in the space. We have a real chance here to be a top 5 quick lube if we can execute on all these things, you know, and the pieces of the puzzle we've put in place have given us that ability, and the brand fund is just another part of that. It kind of rolls right into our next part of this town hall, which is the vendor update, some of the new relationships we've made based on some of the things that we've done. And so I'll let David, you could talk about Colliers. I'll take on the oil change side of the vendor updates, and you can hand things off after you talk about those new relationships.
Sure. So there's 2 that I want to talk about. One is Colliers. Colliers Engineering has already been introduced. We have a national rep solution. His name is Ronald, drawing a blank on his last name, Lazat. And so Ronald will be the guy we'll ping every time we have a need for an engineer, a civil local engineer. He then has a network throughout the country that can then get introduced and engaged with your project immediately. For those of you that have been introduced to Colliers, you will see how quickly they're lending credence to, you know, their insights onto a project, and whether or not they understand things differently than what we've seen up to that point, often is the case. The other reference, so obviously anyone that needs to do anything in terms of civil engineering or engineering in general, don't hesitate to get Terry involved, and Terry will then link up with Ronald and get you pointed in the right direction for that local civil engineer. Usually local civil engineers as well as local architects are going to be able to then give us the best references to other professionals needed, whether it's GCs or other players in the process that you're going to need to engage with. And so it's great to have a national solution like a Colliers that has a national reference point for all of those things as well. The other is Effective Signworks. So Effective Signworks, both of these companies are, but Effective Signworks is a company that I've worked with for over 10 years. They will become a one-stop shop for our national needs for signage. They have a brand book in which we, created with them and put together a package which includes multiple options for every franchisee to look through and pick as per their town ordinances, which they will help you understand and give you all the insights as to what's allowed versus how much it may cost, and help you guys make those decisions with our team to say, within these standards of an easy solution to support every location, you can call Effective Signs and they'd be able to put your entire package into production and ensure installation before you open is hopefully the goal. Anyone that is looking for signage, has just called the sign company, or has any questions about signage, don't hesitate. That brand book will also include, door decals, hours of operation, any internal things. Eventually we'll get to a much more robust, solution of items with them. But nothing's obligated. These are both just great references for everyone. We've worked with them, or I've worked with them both in the past, and I can tell you, they're going to be better than 99% of the people you're going to close your eyes and pick out of a Yellow Pages. And so they'll work locally and get you to a local installer, but we can almost guarantee quality and at least customer support will be there because we have a relationship. The last is Relodyne, and maybe Brandon or Costa, you should.
Yeah, David, before I jump into some of the oil change related vendor relationships, I'm going to let Michael speak to the question that Mitch asked. I don't want to just gloss over the marketing section. So Michael, go ahead.
Yeah. Again, guys, in terms of the 129 software fee, it's our view as a franchisor, having done this across several franchise systems, that we needed to provide a streamlined software application at an affordable price point. There are no other alternatives in the market, from what we saw at least. If anybody has any that they know of, please let us know, to consolidate all of these data sources and systems into one user-friendly application at $129 a month. So we made the decision to hire a development firm, build that software, and we believe it will be easier for franchisees to hire employees and train them on that system, as opposed to having to log in and out of 3 or 4 different websites, scan a document with barcodes on it, so on and so forth. So that's the 129 software expense. With where the average revenues are in the system, it is not our belief that $129 per month for a piece of software that's going to provide a convenience to everybody is going to make or break anybody's P&L. In terms of the marketing expense, again, we needed to select a number that wasn't going to break anybody's P&L, but allowed us as the franchisor to have the ability to manage a brand fund to create thought leadership and credibility in the industry. That is one of the purposes that you all join a franchise system. So I understand that it seems like there are 3 different fees coming on at once, but we're talking about 129 for a piece of software that everybody needs, that's less expensive than anything in the industry, that's an actual comparison to this. The marketing fee of 1% is 50% less than what everybody agreed to pay when they signed their franchise agreement, and we don't intend on increasing that anytime soon. And in terms of the $99 website solution, you're not just paying you're not just mandated to pay $99 a month for a website. It's a $99 fee for a website that gives everybody login, log out access, gives everybody the opportunity to look at their ratings and reviews, gives everybody a centralized inbox, gives everybody a SEO friendly website to the point where if you are going to spend money on digital marketing, you're pushing traffic to a website that's worth pushing traffic to. So again, it might seem like it's a large fee today of $99, but if you start spending money on digital marketing, which we highly suggest that everybody that's open starts to do in the long run, when you look at your return on investment data and you look at your analytics in terms of conversion rates, pushing traffic to a professional website is going to yield greater ROI. So I think in a few months from now, we will be able to quantify why we are asking folks to spend money on these different things. These dollars are not going into our pocket, right? With the brand fund, these are not profit dollars to the franchisor. We have to spend the brand fund on managing the marketing fund. For the software application, these dollars are not going into our pocket today. We have to use these dollars to develop and support the application. So happy to chat with anybody, and so is David and Costa offline on these things, or on the call today towards the end. But we put a lot of thought into each one of these new mandates and recommendations, and don't want anybody to feel like we're doing this to increase profitability at the franchisor level. That's not at all what this is designed to do, and not at all in terms of what this is going to do.
Cool. All right, moving on to vendor updates. As I think we had already announced this, we had developed a new relationship with Napa to be our last mile provider. I think most people are signed up with AutoZone still. We are working on getting the rollout done at the corporate store level to make sure that we streamline that process when it becomes time to onboard everyone to Napa. I think everyone who's open and operating has had a connected with Relodyne. Relodyne is a very similar company to PetroChoice. Obviously, this was a huge piece of news for us as an organization, as I had a relationship with PetroChoice for, I would say, 10 years. And to leave them was very difficult, as I had personal relationships with a lot of employees with them. But just so everyone on this call knows, what they did in terms of not being able to fulfill promises they made to you guys is unacceptable to me. And I'm always going to have your needs first when going through this process. And I felt that it was necessary to finally look outside for an alternative vendor to PetroChoice, because I wanted to make sure that you guys had the most competitive prices in the country. We were able to come to an agreement with them. Most everybody, I think, has onboarded with them. Their prices were on average $1 or $2 less per gallon than Petro Choice. They are acquiring small distributors at a rate that I've never seen before. I think it won't be very long until they have, I don't think it will be long until they have fully national coverage. But right now, I believe only those who are west of the Rockies have any kind of price discrepancy. And for the rest of us, we have best in industry pricing. We have several people interested in our brand as franchisees that are going through the process with other brands that have said that the pricing at some of our competitors is double what we're paying for a price of gallon for oil. I know that we have a lot of franchisees that do their own independent research and know that our pricing is about as good as it gets when it comes to bulk oil. That, again, none of it's mandated. These are just relationships that we've cultivated to help you guys, and we will make those introductions to make sure everyone is onboarded as seamlessly as possible. Brendan, I'm going to hand things back to you to tie up any last things that you would like to talk about.
Yeah, I'll just go over brand standards really quickly. I think that's the last thing here on our agenda, other than going over Forbes, which I think we've already touched on. So if anybody's hasn't seen the Forbes article that was out, please let us know, and we'll link that in Slack for you as well. It's a really good read, and gives a lot of insight on why we're doing what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve with this brand. So one of the most valuable propositions that we give to franchisees, and one of the biggest reasons franchisees join a franchise system is we've done the hard work up front. We've been running this business for a long time now, and we wanted to share those with you. But as you open up new stores, we get to see new experiences. So something that happens in St. Albans, West Virginia with Tamlin, we can learn from that. And that's a lot of what I do as far as going over my operations calls that I have every Monday. Again, just a reminder, my operations calls are every Monday. They switch every week from 11 a.m. Today was 11 a.m. Next week will be 3:30 p.m. Please try to get on that call if you can. They are recorded, so we will be able to post those up for you, and you can watch them at your leisure if you don't have time to join them. But I really enjoy the interactiveness that we have of those. And here recently, we've been talking about what experiences are good, and then how can we do better, right? So we want to go over and do the feel good stuff, where this morning we talked about how Ralph has done a bunch of fifth punch cards, and he posts those on Facebook, and that's a really good community ad for our brand, but also for his store. It helps the customer feel like they're involved in the community, and it's a great thing to do. But we also go over things that you're seeing in the shops that we can do better operationally. So please join those calls if you can. We always love the positives, and we always love sharing that. So if somebody does a record week and they do, a really high ticket average, or they do a really high car count and gross and net for that week, then we want to spotlight that and then kind of dig deeper in how did we get to that point with this franchisee. We also want to make sure that our brand is within line with what we're trying to be and our standards. So if you are posting content on Facebook using the logo, then we will need to have that approved. Ralph, that's funny. So what we want to do is make sure that we have continuity across our brand. Obviously, you are independent business owners. I've always been pro business owner with this model. But at the end of the day, anything that's going in front of the public, I want to make sure that we have a tight grasp around. That way, if something does go out and it doesn't look great, we can kind of nip that really quick, and we can kind of guide you to the way that we would like to see it done, and help you learn that process as far as the standards go. So that's just the last thing that I really wanted to say was if there is things going out with the logo on it, please message us on Slack. It's usually a really quick process to get those approved. Anybody in the back office here can see it and either give pointers or if you've done it enough, you'll be able to post it and we get it approved really, really quickly. So that's the last here. I think we're going to open it up for Q&A.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Just last thing, just Slack, easiest way. There's not many brands that have this kind of direct communication with the back office. We're very responsive on Slack, as you guys know. So if you guys have questions or anything, it's at the top of my mind because we have franchisees in here for training, but a lot of the time questions can be answered through the Oil U website, which is our training website. Make sure we're utilizing Oil U to do ongoing lessons for whether it's employees, yourself, etc. Oil U is constantly updated. With the migration of the website to SiteGround, there are some PDFs that need to be re-updated on Oil U, but yeah, Slack is definitely the most direct way to get a hold of anybody. Terry will be on Slack. I'm sure that someone's going to ask that, and we will maintain that level of responsiveness. So go to Q&A. I will let Brandon go ahead and QB the Q&A.
Yeah, the best thing right now, guys, if you can raise your hand, I'll try to go in order of that so we just don't have a bunch of people talking over each other. So the first
Brandon,
person
I'm sorry, I would just like to jump in and say I would love for Ralph to give everyone a little bit of insight on what he's doing exactly. And I see his comment here about customers asking if they can be featured. Maybe it makes sense to have him speak out on what he's doing here. It seems to be really working.
Yeah.
Ralph, do you mind?
Yeah, so we just started, we've been posting, videos and photos every couple days, TikToks, and we're trying to appeal to our specific community. I know it works everywhere, but we know these people like this. The face of the business, seen cars. You'll notice a lot of the cars I feature are high-end cars. I'm starting to feature a lot of the European cars in my videos because I want them to see. We started getting some Porsches in, then we realized we need the tool to reset the oil light. So I've ordered that. It's worth it. But so we just the very first, well, no, sorry, it wasn't the first, but I think it was the second person came in for the fifth punch. John takes photos all day for me for this purpose. He took a photo of it. And I was like, dang, we ought to post this. And we contacted the customer. We had his information, say, hey, you cool with doing this? So every time we get a fifth punch and then we ask them, hey, do you mind if we take your photo and put it on Facebook? And I think we've had one or two people that asked us not to do it. And we're fine with that. I get it.
Yep.
But they love it. They love being featured on it. They get their 15 minutes of fame. And we're getting them, sharing that post to their page. Look what I got on Costa, I'm on Costa's website. And we're also posting, or should be posting, our local, we're doing the golf tournaments, the charity tournaments. We're giving out the free oil changes. So when people come in with those, we're taking their photos and saying thank you to this organization. Well, we've only had 2 of them come in so far, but it'll be, thank you to this organization for letting us sponsor it. And so, want a free oil change, so on and so forth. And it's really just getting out there to the community. And, one of the biggest things I've been helping is getting out there directly, door to door, at our local small businesses and getting them involved as well. Some of them just say, hey, you can leave flyers. Some of them want to cross promote. For instance, one of the cool things is since we lease from a gas station, we have a deal that if they get an oil change, they get a free fountain drink or coffee. Now, we know why they're giving that away. They get in the store, you can't leave without that. But again, our community says, oh man, we're working together for other small businesses. And I'm getting ready to start working with a company called Island Pokefin. They're like a poke bowl place. And it's just that big community involvement is really, really, really helping. you can see we're slowly moving up in our numbers, and we really attribute that to the number of return guests, the number of people that are spreading our name saying, wow, these guys are great. You know, we're up to 49 5-star reviews. And we know one's going to come in one day. It's not going to be great, but it hasn't yet. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. But it's that community involvement, that posting those things. I do some little hokey stuff on there, like the AC one, but I did that and I had like 6 people that afternoon come in for AC checks during their oil change. And only one person needed any AC or any refrigerant. But now I got a bunch of messages of people saying, hey, you said you do that during an oil change. Can I just come in and have that done? I said, yeah, just call ahead if we're not busy. We can just check it real quick. If there's nothing, you send you out the door. So again, that's another building of the community thing. Hey, we're only supposed to do it this way, but we're going to make an exception for you. That's what it's about, building more community involvement, and doing what they want to see, what your community wants, what they value. Well, that's why we're in all the golf tournaments. We're in a golf community. So
no, I think you're hitting it. I think you're hitting it perfectly, Ralph. People like to see themselves on Instagram, on TikTok, right? And so if you're able to put your logo over their head and get them a little bit of fame, they love seeing themselves out there. Everyone loves to see themselves in the newspaper, whatever, right? In publication. So it's awesome. Great job. Obviously, community is a big part of, the pillar of the foundation of this company is driving those around you, right? And doing the right thing and supporting those around you is more than just making money off of an oil change. It's making sure they keep coming back because they'll remember you for those things, right? They'll tell everyone about them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's just for everybody that hasn't joined the ops call. That's the type of stuff that we go over on how we can better the community. We tell everybody this all the time. Within 3 to 5 miles is your base customers, and obviously people will go extra distance once they hear about the service. But that 3 to 5 miles is really your bread and butter, and that's your community. So we want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that, meeting with local community members, meeting with other small business owners, and doing those partnerships. So yeah, Ralph, that's great. Keep up the great work. You're doing amazing there. Brant, I saw that you had unmuted for a second. You want to ask?
Yeah, so we're starting to do this here locally as well, but the marketing material, we need to have something from Costa that is common approved, and then all we have to do is add our number, our contact information, things like that, just so we can kind of get I'm not a marketing guy, so I could spend hours building something that you guys have probably already done before. So let's find a place that we can put all of this stuff, not only punch cards, but marketing material for apartments and things like that.
Grant,
that we can put up.
This is great. And this is, ties back to the brand fund. We are delivering to everybody a zip file over the next couple of weeks, and it's going to have a half a dozen marketing assets that are shareable to start. They'll be in PDF form, and there'll be things from calendars to one-pagers to discount documents. We've just brought on a designer to start working on these documents, and a zip file will be delivered to every franchisee probably the first 2 weeks in August on this front. Great question and great point.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you guys are going to be asking, we're trying to be proactive about and make sure that we're able to assist you the best way possible. So, but yeah, we'll have that out to you within the next couple of weeks and be able to furnish that stuff to you. Again, we do have the oilu.org. It's under the pre-approved banners and guides. And we'll upload that zip file to there as well, just so we have it all in one place. But we'll also add it to the Google Drives that we have for every franchisee as well.
Ralph, really nice of you to make that offer, as well as I'm reading the chat, and as well as you, Tamlin. So yeah, as the community grows between us and you guys are seeing one franchisee do something that you think will work in your market, reach out to them, right? That's what we're all here to do, and help each other, support each other. So that's amazing of you guys to put it there that you're willing to. So thank you guys for that.
Tamlin, your question about the new fees. Yeah, as they roll out, so the marketing, the 1% will be in August. But the website, you're gonna be doing an onboarding call with Ryan L. From Hawkeye Digital. And then that will be handled directly with him as the vendor. And then the Square app that we're creating, once that goes live and it's tested and we know we have a way that we can manipulate it and make sure we're good on it, that will be rolling out, and then that will take place.
Yeah, and Brandon, our estimate on the software fee is September 1, but Tamlin and kind of team, if we feel that it's not tested and sufficient by then, obviously, we're not going to charge anybody by then. But as of right now, our plan is over the next kind of 2 weeks to have the app in several folks' hands and using it and testing it in the month of August and starting to charge for it and paying the vendor come September 1st on that front.
Yeah, yep. September 1st is our goal date.
Awesome. I see you're already starting to share it. Great job. So any other questions or anyone else like to make any comments here? I don't believe I think we covered everybody in the chat.
Yep.
Brandon, one more thing I just wanted to touch on, and this, as I've spoken to folks over the last couple of weeks, has been a good learning experience for me. I would urge folks on this call to set up time with David and Brandon to walk through their P&Ls. There's a few franchisees that we've seen that, for instance, aren't handling, ordering of parts and oil and filters the right way. There's a few franchisees that we've seen that had their payroll numbers so out of whack. I mean, just, paying so much in payroll that you could never be profitable. So I know there's some folks in the system who have really nailed it and they understand their P&L and they're operating profitably and they understand their cost structure. But I'm sure, as we've seen every franchise system that we invest in, that there are a good number of folks who need help kind of managing their financials, and that translates into managing your business. But David, Brandon, myself, Costa, Terry, Aaron, Justin, we've reviewed all of Costa's P&Ls. We've put together kind of a benchmark profit and loss statement. We know what things should cost. We know how profitable you should be at certain levels. And I really think that for anybody that's opening or planning on opening, the more you spend time with our team on P&L coaching and looking at some of the benchmarking work that we've done, the less money you'll burn and the quicker you'll be able to turn a profit. And Brandon, I don't know if you could touch on it more specifically, but that one example that we spoke about last week where the gentleman who will leave unnamed for now, was ordering filters and oil, and it was a flat fee every single month. And there was no translation from 1 month to the next month about what has been used. Like, why are you just ordering $5,000 or $6,000 worth of goods each month? And why is your cost of goods number so high? So Brandon, if you could touch on that for 1 second, that'd be great. And real quick, Tamlin and Ralph, Brandon and David and Costa can all jump on P&L calls, and all happy to kind of help coach folks to the kind of steady state margin profile that we've come up with in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, we refer to it as a pro forma template, the document that we've generated and share with franchisees to help them create that first year budget and be able to ultimately look at their project and make decisions. One of the things we've done in the process, and me coming on board, was to use that same template we've always had for the business's budgeting and move it up earlier when we're negotiating the lease and the LOI. And so the earlier we do those modelings of your P&Ls, your pro forma, we'll then keep coming back to it and referring back to it to see if we're on track or not as you're getting closer and closer to open. And then ultimately, once you get through 6 months a year, you then sit down with myself, Brandon, or team and say, well, our budget is what it is, or our results are what they are. What do we do to budget for the next 3, 6, 12 months? And that's the process we'll get undertaking here as everyone gets a pro forma and ultimately creates a budget.
Yeah, what I'll say is, for myself at least, is if you message me in Slack and we can set up a time, I'm always open to that. This is something that I talked about the last couple of weeks is, if there's something that you have a question about or you want assistance, scheduling a time with me, I'm always open. That's never gone away. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that you can message us on Slack. You can set up a time to call. I have a Calendly in my email that will send me over a schedule as well. So please utilize Slack to its full potential and make sure that you're reaching out to us if you have questions and being proactive in that. So if you're seeing an issue with a P&L or we need to make some changes, we can go over all of that information again.
And Brandon, just to add to that real quick, Brandon K added a question here. We will plan to send out the benchmarking kind of pro forma template for sure to existing franchisees. But you raise a good point, right? It's hard for us to coach people on operations and P&L or management when we don't see their P&L.
Right.
So we need to get into a cadence of setting these calls up. You guys should be sharing your P&Ls with the franchisor, and the more data we look at, the more folks on our side can analyze the P&L and provide recommendations. So I'd urge anybody who has not shared their P&L, we've gotten several of them. It would be great to see your P&L.
Brandon, to answer your question in the chat, month 9 is when you basically have a complete overlap of your baseline customer. If you are doing things the way that we want them to be done, and we believe that our service being provided is better than our competitors, then you should see in month 9 the exponential nature of this business. And so,
but Costa, I'll also add to that. I mean, and I'll give a shout out to Tamlin and some of our other stores that are open in Colorado. Ben and Brandon. Some of the revenue figures that we're seeing coming out of the gates are so high that this P&L stuff is just as important in month 1 and month 2 as it is in month 9. When you have significant revenue coming in your first few months in business, you should be all over your P&L to know what you're spending, what things are costing, where to optimize, and things of that nature. But Costa's right
I completely agree. It's just month 9, you'll see if there's any changes that you think need to be made, whether staffing, operationally. That's usually when you would start seeing that reveal itself. Real quick, because I know, and I don't think anyone would, but I need to speak on behalf of Brandon because he is one of the hardest working human beings I've ever met. With the beefing up of our support system, we have actually built out a much more streamlined staff, and I am going to be requesting of everyone in our team to basically stay in their lane and make sure that we're not being overburdened by things that are not exactly something they should be dealing with. And Brandon is the best in the quick lube business at operations. And I think that's where his time is most valuably spent. And so questions about P&L, questions about running the store, questions about that, he'll answer it all day. He'll pick up the phone at 1 a.m. And I'll ask him not to, but I know he will. And but we are going to, especially for those that have not begun the process yet, we're going to have a more streamlined process now that we have Terry, now that we have David, and we'll keep adding to the staff, and those roles will be more clearly defined, whereas before we had a lot of people wearing a lot of different hats, and that's not a efficient way to run this thing. So I just wanted to add that in because I know that Brandon will do whatever it takes for you guys to be successful. So I just don't want to see him get overworked.
I appreciate it. Yeah, so that is something as well. I'm going to start tightening my lane a little bit on things that I am here to assist with. Operations being the main point. If questions come to me, I will guide you to the right place. I don't want you to feel like you can't come to me, but I will be guiding more. And if it's an operations thing, I will more than gladly set up a time to talk. So thank you, Costa, for that and all the kind words. I really do appreciate it. So again, I going back to what Michael said and Costa, I do believe that month 1, 2, 3, 4, until we hit 9, there is a value of, are we ordering correctly? Is our is our labor hour where it needs to be? But really month 9 through that ramp up period, that's why we say 9 to 12 months of ramp up. That's when we can really sit down and dive deeply into a P&L and say, this is what your trajectory looks like. But month 2, hey, this is what we're doing in sales. This is what I'm paying. This is what I'm ordering. We can go over that. And there's definitely a value in that as well. And to set you up for success going into and to finishing your ramp up period.
Michael makes a great point in the chat, and it's always true. And everyone that, manages a household and has any kind of budgets in life knows, the more you talk about your budgets and the more you think through the plan and the strategy, you'll get to a better outcome. And so the earlier we talk about pro formas and P&Ls and budgets, and the more you go over those things and ask sometimes what you'll consider to be the stupid questions, but ask them, right? It is oftentimes those little details that you get caught up with thinking you should know better, that you don't ever ask the question of Brandon or the team that has this experience. We've seen it all, right? And if you look at enough people's businesses in enough detail, it all starts to become very similar in the conversations. But there are some understandings that come with, hey, this is a trend. Hey, this is something you should focus on. This is going in the right direction, wrong direction. Just knowing is half the battle, right?
And David, just to add to that, the biggest areas that we're seeing room for optimization or improvement would be payroll. Number one, we've had folks that have too many people on staff, and they're not managing hours that they're paying per week. So that's a huge one. I mean, that is just gigantic. And number 2 would be cost of goods, kind of oil, filters and whatnot that folks are buying. And number 3 is making sure that you pick the right real estate. And that's why we think doing more thorough analysis before you open with Terry up front and making sure that your rent is not going to reach levels that's going to completely, hamstring your ability to be profitable is very important. So payroll, cost of goods, and rent are the 3 biggest ones that we're seeing. There's some other coaching that we've provided, for smaller items like insurance and, things of that nature. But the big ones that really move the needle are those 3 right there.
Absolutely. Brandon K makes a great comment, and I think it's a lead into next Monday's Ops Town call with Brandon. He should definitely talk about this in a larger discussion here. So I agree with you there. Inventory management, ordering, it's going to have a huge part of how your cash flow runs, especially in those early months. So great conversations. I think we're running out of time here with a few minutes left. Costa, Brandon, any
I sent Brandon and the franchisees that we have at training over to York Street so they can begin their in-store training. So we can continue Q&A as long as people want to keep going, but we don't have anything left on the agenda to add. I did see Ben Capel's question. It snuck by and then a bunch of messages came through. He asked, is the $99 per location for the software? Michael, actually, I don't know the answer to that. Michael, do you?
I lost you.
It's going to be per franchisee, Costa, not per location.
Per franchisee, not per location. Okay. So, I mean, to that point, and going back to Mitch's comment, had we actually enforced the PM attendant line in our FDD, they are $189 per location. So the cost savings to have this robust software will show itself pretty quickly.
That's a good point. Our average operator in the Costa system owns, more than 1 territory. So if you compare it to actual industry standards, it's not $129 per location. It'll probably end up being something like $50 or $60 once you open up 2 or 3 locations.
Absolutely. The only thing I would like to end with is to remind everyone to reach out and get on Terry's docket, as well as Ryan Lamuth's and Hawkeye, and make sure you're getting the support you guys deserve. And so don't miss the opportunities, as they're all waiting for you. And so I know we've shared those contacts. Terry's given his contact, as well as Ryan's has been shared here. They're happy to engage, and so don't hesitate.
I got your email and I'll give you a call later on.
David, before we end, just real quickly, does anybody have any recommendations separate from what's been notated in the channel here about what we're not doing that folks want to see us doing? I always like to end on that note.
I love it. And I would say leave it open-ended for anyone that has that thought and wants to share it, later tomorrow. Don't ever hesitate. We're always here. We're always available on Slack, like Costa said earlier. So we're only getting better if you guys are supporting us and giving us your feedback.
All right. Anyone else has any questions, obviously, go ahead. You can put them on Slack. Brandon, I did see your question on Oil U and the operations templates. We have some staffing templates for staffing models based on car count. I'll directly message you about that, so we don't have to go into that on here. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'll get this uploaded to YouTube, posted for anyone to rewatch. I'll put a timestamp for when the Q&A started. I'll put timestamps for all the different topics we discussed. Mitch, Brandon, and David are going to be the best ones to discuss your P&Ls and the pro formas. Everybody should have QuickBooks Online. That is one of the few things we do mandate. So you should be able to pull a P&L relatively quickly. Everybody's bank should sync with QuickBooks Online, hook up with your CPA or bookkeeper to be able to do that. Ben,
I've got a few more questions here in the chat from Ben, Brandon, and Mitch.
Yeah, I'll keep going. I'll keep going down these questions. I'll stay on as long as anyone wants. Anyone wants to hop off right now, we're just going to continue, rapid fire Q&A. So Ben, we're only open on Sundays in what I deem are larger markets, which, for us is, places that are about 40,000 people or more. So we only have a handful of stores that are open on Sunday. We typically start off by doing 10 to 2. Because the staffing model turns upside down. Once you open up 7 days a week, you have to basically have 3 full-timers and a part-timer. Ralph makes a good point. Some communities are not a fan of businesses being open on Sunday. Mitch just affirmed it. So, but to that point, our Harrisburg store, the people in that town told me that being open on Sunday was a mistake. I started opening up on Sunday, and then it became a really big day for us. And so dollars talk, people walk. So you're gonna have to make that decision for yourself. But to Mitch's point, giving the team a break, what it allows for us to do is we typically staff our model so the manager has Sunday, Monday off, so they have back-to-back days off. And that way we still have our core employee on Saturday. We want our managers to work on Saturdays. And that's almost by mandate, Ben. I believe I've read some of the FDDs for some of our competitors. They mandate that the stores are open 7 days a week. So and a lot of them are open 7 to 7, and those are really large labor hours. But the data that we're seeing, and you can look at your own data, it's just not beneficial to be open if no one's coming in. Yep, Tamlin, I completely agree. Anyone else?
Thank you, everybody. Look forward to working with every one of you. Call me
Excellent,
24
Terry.
hours a day. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Brandon, stand by for more information on the family office. It's literally like emails are coming in during this meeting, and Michael will send an update once we have that. Holly, P&L calls, David and Brandon more than happy to go over them to discuss P&L calls. Justin, I see you in there. You want to add anything while we got you?
Nothing to add on my end.
Awesome.
All righty.
Great job, Costa, Brandon, team. Obviously, we'll be doing another one of these in short order and keep everyone abreast of what's going on in the world.
All right. See everybody on Slack.
See everybody. Thanks.
Bye.